Welcome to the InForm Fitness Podcast, 20 minutes with New York Times bestselling author Adam Zickerman.
In this podcast, we're going to discuss my original vision for how we started InForm Fitness and where I want InForm Fitness to go and where we think exercise should go in the future. It's nice to see that my original intuition over 20 years ago has been validated by some recent science. So we're going to bring on some scientists in this industry, some great testimonials from clients that have experienced this. I'm going to be bringing in musicians and very interesting people, bodybuilders talking about how little they actually work out. It's going to shed some light on some very important topics.
All right, welcome into episode 2 of the InForm Fitness Podcast. 20 minutes with Adam Zickerman and friends. If you stumbled across this episode on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, or YouTube and have not yet had a chance to listen to our first episode, we invite you to go back, give it a listen, because in that episode, you'll hear some important foundational information to help you understand the mission of this podcast and be formally introduced to all the members of the podcast team. But we'll quickly run through the room here and reintroduce everybody. I'll start. My name's Tim Edwards. I'm the founder of the Inbound Podcasting Network and have been training with the Power of 10 system at the Toluca Lake location in Southern California. And joining me here in the Los Angeles area, just a few freeways away from the Inbound Podcasting Studio, is one of my trainers at InForm Fitness, Sheila Melody. Hey, Sheila.
Hi, Tim. How you doing? I'm coming here from sunny Southern California.
It's a beautiful day. It's perfect today. Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm just going to rub that into our to our New York cohorts.
As we record this through Skype, we can see our other cohorts here wearing sweaters and jackets, so probably a little chilly over there across the country on the east side of New York City. We'll start with the GM of the Manhattan InForm Fitness location, Mike Rogers. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, it's like an Arctic 50 degrees here right now. It's hell. No, it's actually not so bad. But I just came back from Vegas over the weekend, so
nice.
I'm ready to recharge, restart, and
recoup.
No, but I'm excited about the podcast today.
And of course, the reason we're all here, the founder of InForm Fitness and author of New York Times bestseller Power of 10: The Once a Week Slow Motion Fitness Revolution, Adam Zickerman. How you doing, Adam?
Hey guys, looking forward to this.
We got one under our belt, and here we go with number 2. But before we drill down into today's topic, the definition of exercise versus recreation, let's quickly recap what we discussed in the first episode, Adam, if you don't mind, for our listeners who've not yet listened to that show. What is the Power of 10?
Well, it's the name of my book, Power of 10, and there wasn't a Power of 10 until the book came out, actually. It was just InForm Fitness. And the premise of InForm Fitness and then the book was to understand and put exercise in its proper perspective and what we should expect from exercise. And ultimately, the premise is that the sole purpose of exercise is to build muscle, to maintain muscle mass as we get older. That, to me, is the number one priority of any exercise plan. And the whole book, Power of 10, and the whole technique starts there. The technique, of course, enters into intensity and safety considerations, as well as balancing exercise with proper nutrition and rest. And there you have the Power of 10, balancing exercise, rest, and nutrition, the 3 pillars, we call it. And on there, that's the foundation. And in there, all the recreational pursuits, the life that you want to live, sits right on top of that. But if you want to live the kind of life you want to live, an active life, a happy life, a pain-free life, it starts with exercise, rest, nutrition, and everything else follows from there.
Adam always says, the mission of InForm Fitness is to provide people with the exercise they need to give them the life that they want. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I could have just said that.
Could have said that, but
We need a little more.
But I didn't.
A little more detail. And of course, InForm Fitness. Sheila, why don't you chime in on that if you don't mind? Why InForm Fitness?
Well, I always say there's a couple reasons for that. One is that we want to inform our clients always. We're all informed. We're informing them about why you're doing this exercise, even to the point of what muscles are working at that particular time. And then we also are real sticklers on performing the exercise in the proper form. So I might find, myself saying, okay, stay in form. And then I go, oh, yeah, that's our name.
And it's perfect. And that is, we are calling our community that we're building here through the InForm Fitness podcast to InForm Nation, because that's what we're trying to do. If you're listening to this podcast and you're enjoying what you hear and you're becoming educated, you're becoming informed, we invite you to join InForm Nation. We'll have more details on how you can do that at the conclusion of the show. Now, this show is geared towards those who are looking to build muscle, lose fat, maintain cardiovascular health, and maybe even improve whatever it is that you love to do, which really ties nicely into today's topic, exercise versus recreation. And briefly, let's go around the room and discuss what are some of the physical activities we all enjoy that might be confused with exercise. Let's start with you, Sheila.
Well, what I really love to do around LA especially is hiking. Lots of canyons, hiking, and tennis and yoga. Those are things that I actually enjoy doing.
So when you're hiking, do you ever go up to Runyon Canyon? Is that right? Up there off of Mulholland Drive? See some celebrities?
Yes, I've gone up there. That's a very busy hiking area, actually. I prefer to kind of be out here in Malibu Canyon area because it's way more wide open. That's kind of the city hiking area. But there are plenty of places here in Southern California to hike, as I'm sure there's plenty of places in New York and the upstate New York and surrounding areas too.
Are you a hiker, Mike, or what do you do for exercise or for recreation, I should say?
I like to take a hike oftentimes in life.
You're told to take a hike.
Yeah. I love hiking. I don't do it on a regular basis. It's usually if I'm away or wherever. If I was in California, I'd probably be taking a hike. But I grew up with a lot of very, very active every sport, and I did soccer and lacrosse very competitively. As I've gotten older, I sort of phased into triathlon sports like biking, swimming, and running. Love cycling the most there, and even more recently, tennis and golf over the last few years. So I do a lot of stuff, and I just have a problem sitting still. So being active is extremely important to me, and using my body is very, very important to me. So, Adam,
what do you do? I know I thought you told stories in the past. You like to ski.
I'm a seasonal recreator. I mean, during the winter, I pretty much are limited to just skiing. And in the better weather, I like to hike. Actually, I go fishing. I do a lot of fly fishing. I love fly fishing. And we just got a puppy.
So what kind of dog?
A golden doodle. So we have some beautiful preserves by our house, and we're going to start doing some more of those walks and hikes with the dog now.
And walk the dog. It'll force you outside. And then in New York City, too, do you drive through the city or do you do a lot of walking to and from the subway?
Well, that's another thing. It's a walking city for sure.
Mm-hmm. Boy,
we're on the move all the time.
I got to take up hiking just to keep up with all of you. That's not something that I've really explored. All I do outside of what I do at InForm Fitness in Toluca Lake is I play softball once a week. And outside of that, basketball with my kid. And that's it. So I probably need to get out a little bit more often and add to my recreation list. But how is all of this different from exercise? Because all of these things that we're mentioning, one would say, well, isn't that exercise? You're playing tennis a few times a week. You're hiking. Tell us the difference, Adam. This is really, it seems like a relatively easy concept to grasp. But you say there's a difference between exercise and recreation.
I think once it's explained, it seems easy, but you still have pushback. It's hard for people who have been told their whole life that you have to be active and be out there, and they've been playing tennis their whole lives and playing soccer their whole lives. To tell them that's not exercise, and they're not wrong by thinking it is in some sense, and that is there's an exercise effect. Again, exercise specifically is to build muscle and get stronger, and there's no doubt that a lot of these sports and recreational pursuits have an exercise effect in the sense that they do make you stronger. A tennis player is going to get stronger legs from it, a stronger arm or upper body in general from that sport. But that's not necessarily the goal of that recreational pursuit. The goal of that recreational pursuit is to enjoy that recreational pursuit is because you love it. All right, that is the goal of that. The goal of exercise is to make you stronger. And the problem with recreational pursuits being perceived as exercise is that's not the goal of recreational pursuits. And they can get you stronger to an extent, but it comes with its risks, and it's not comprehensive. It's not going to do what you really want exercise to do. It's not going to build your muscles from head to toe. It's going to build them in a very specific way for that particular sport, and that's not a general conditioning program. You don't have to spend a lot of time to get strong. 20 minutes once a week without the risk of getting injury, as opposed to being a weekend warrior, or maybe even more so, and thinking that, you join a bike club and you're biking on the Wednesday night bike trips and you have the weekend stuff, and you're thinking you're doing all this because it's in place of your exercise.
For people that are saying, well, I don't need to work out, or I don't need to lift weights or do anything because I play tennis 3 times a week, or I golf every week.
Right.
And that's the problem. People are thinking.
We hear that a lot. We hear that, I'm sure Sheila and Mike and myself, we hear that a lot when we do an intake and we say, so have you exercised in the past? And they'll say yes, and they'll start listing the sports that they play, right? Mm-hmm. And we get into that discussion. I said, all right, well, great. I mean, those are great things, and I hope you continue to do them, or maybe we'll want to do them again once you feel up to it. And that's one way I make that distinction with people, to help them make that distinction, that this exercise program might get, especially if they haven't done their recreational pursuits in a while because they don't feel like they're in shape to do them.
Or they may have hurt themselves in the process of doing them. Like tennis players constantly, we have them all the time. Like they had tendonitis, tennis elbow, or golfers with back problems, and it's just like, and it's keeping them off the course. I mean, and so I mean, that's the thing. It's walking like 4 miles, and they get to miss out on that type of thing, and it's unfortunate.
So I have an interesting story, just personally, as far as I've done a lot of yoga, and I was always doing yoga, and then I started to get into do this. And then when I got certified and I opened the Toluca Lake facility, then it was like, my life got very, very busy, and I couldn't go to my yoga class for over a year. So, and I go to this very hot, the Bikram yoga, which is an hour and a half. It's very, intense kind of. So I finally made it to a yoga class after a year. And this was the testament to me that this works as far as just building your muscle. Because I used to go to the yoga class and then I'd be off for a couple months and go back. And the first time back, the next day I was so sore, just from doing it. And this time I hadn't been in a year. I went. And even though, yes, it was a little more like a different kind of endurance getting through that class, the next day I was not sore. And that was like, oh my gosh, this is because I have been building my muscle and I'm strong. And so it was a whole different eye-opening thing for me.
Yeah, I noticed it when the first time I went skiing and I went to high altitude. And when you're coming from the East Coast and you go out to Colorado and you're at 12,000 feet, 11,000 feet, and you do a couple of runs, you really feel it. And my ski mates that were living in Colorado were always impressed that the East Coaster, me, actually hung in with them until about 3 o'clock. They went till 5, but the fact that I even lasted until 3 doing the runs that I was doing with them, coming right off the plane from the East Coast, they were impressed.
Yeah, I get that as a testimonial. So, probably more often than any other in regards to sports performance or recreational type of performance, in regards to their strength and endurance and ability to stay out on the slopes. I hear it all the time, and I just heard it last week from one of our clients. He said specifically said it's night and day, and he's a very athletic person already. But he said it's absolutely so clear that the strength training that he did here for only a couple months too, maybe 8-10 sessions previous to his skiing. He said it was unbelievable. And frankly, over how long I've been here, 13 years, I think I've heard that the most. At least a few times a season I hear that, especially from new clients.
Yeah. So this is the thing I want to say. All right. What Mike just said is very interesting as far as what I would want to know is why? What is happening? What is it about this exercise in particular that is actually preparing somebody in some sense to be able to handle a ski trip at high altitudes for the first time, even when in the past they would need at least 3 days to adjust to the altitude? what's actually happening there physiologically, and what is it about our exercise program that's causing that? But before I get right to that, I just want to sum up this difference between exercise versus recreation. All right, again, exercise has a very specific goal to build muscle and to do it without undermining your health at the same time. And when I say not undermining your health, I'm not necessarily talking about getting hurt right there on the spot. But I also, that is part of it, of course, the acute injuries that can happen from lifting something too fast or the wrong way, and there, boom, herniated disc, torn muscle. That happens. But I'm also talking about the insidious things that occur that when you don't realize are happening. When you go for those runs 5 days a week and everything feels okay, but your knees sore from time to time, but an ice pack and Advil later, it's okay. And you're feeling that year after year, Next thing you know, it's getting a little bit worse. Fast forward another 5 years or so, and you're still doing all that. You're being told you need hip replacement, knee replacement. You have arthritis here, you have arthritis there. Your neck is hurting you now. Your shoulders are hurting you from the repetition. The tennis is not fun anymore. All right, the back is killing you after a tennis game. The knees are killing you. The shoulders killing you. The elbows killing you.
These are our experiences. This is direct observations. We've heard these all through the years. It's unbelievable. I think we have a front row seat to these type of complaints too, all the time. So,
and these are people that probably looked upon their recreational activities as their exercise, as opposed to making their exercise foundational.
Exactly. Yes. But now they're saying, okay, this is great. So the pressure's off. I don't have to look at these activities or feel guilty that I didn't play tennis this weekend or I didn't run this weekend. I don't have to feel guilty about that as long as I took the time, 20 minutes and worked out really hard, really intensely, which is the whole reason and the whole way you should be exercising. Because what we're finding out is all this magic that occurs, all the strength that we get, all this endurance that we build comes from the magic of pushing your muscles to a level that they rarely get pushed to. And when that happens, all that magic happens, all that change, all that positive change actually occurs. Having said that also, exercise is not about entertainment. The purpose of exercise is to build muscle as quickly and as safely as possible so you can live your life. If you want to have something that's not boring, join a book club, join any kind of group where you can have fun. But when it comes to your exercise, just work out. Do what you have to do. Trying to make exercise not boring is kind of like trying to make brushing your teeth not boring. You don't consider that because it's ridiculous to try to change the way you brush your teeth just so you are more entertained during the process, despite the risk you take of having rotten teeth.
This is a challenge, though. I mean, like Adam's points are absolutely valid, and that's the way it is. I mean, people have to they should consider that if they're really, really taking seriously their health and they're thinking about it. I think some of the challenges sometimes is helping people believe that you can actually get a worthwhile workout in 20 minutes, and we know that you can, and we have hundreds and hundreds of testimonials that you can. But it's but sometimes people, I think, just plain don't believe that you can do it in 20 minutes. That's A, and B, I think some people they really need to feel like they're distracted if they're exercising, unfortunately, and that's why they need to be in a spin class with the music pumping and the candles and whatever. And it's that's the challenges that we do have being. Before you experience InForm Fitness, it sounds very counterintuitive to what you've been taught to make yourself healthier. But when you experience it, you realize that what Adam said is absolutely right. It really is just like brush your teeth. You want your teeth to be healthy, brush and floss, drink water.
But still, on that note, from a female perspective, I have found it to be very fun. Are we stopping? I found it to be very fun because it's challenging. Women don't typically go to the gym and try to compete or lift heavy weights. I mean, for the most part, I never did. And I feel like it's kind of just a fun little victory every week when I come in and you see other clients. Our clients have developed friendships. They're seeing each other come in and out, and they love telling a new client, wow, I've been coming for 62 sessions, and it's just, they're so proud of themselves. That's what I see. It becomes fun
not the process, not when you're in that leg press. What's fun for you is the results from it. What's fun for you is the culture of InForm Fitness, that because we all have this, we all feel we have lightning in a bottle, and we have this big secret that no one knows about, that you can get in the best shape of your life in just 20 minutes. That's all fun. That's all something to be very proud of and very enthused about. But when you're on that leg press, those last 10 seconds on a leg press, I mean, I don't know. I'm not thinking fun at that moment.
That's not fun, no.
To me, again, I think a lot of people appreciate the very direct approach about this, as far as, saying, listen, I understand that you think exercise has to be fun, and I can understand your reasons for wanting it to be fun, especially if you're going to spend 3 hours a week doing it.
Right.
I get it. I get that feeling. So. But here's a relief for you. You can have fun without the guilt. You can have fun without mixing it up with your exercise, and just do your exercise for 20 minutes, not thinking about fun, but get it over with in 20 minutes. And I'm going to show you and convince you that 20 minutes is enough for that. That's how you start the consultation. That's how you start your introduction. That right now, you have to believe or want to believe that 20 minutes is enough. And all it's going to take is for you to follow my lead for 6 weeks. And you'll get it. You won't have to have me have to talk you into it anymore. And then you'll be like, wow, this is great. Now I can have fun. The other, how many minutes are left in that week?
Well, that certainly is what first attracted me to this workout. Minimal time investment with great returns. And in just a few months, I've shed a few pounds, my clothes are fitting better, and more importantly, I'm getting stronger. As a matter of fact, we'll include the PDF of my progress in the show notes. That way you can see how each week I'm lifting, pulling, pushing more and more weight. I love it. All right, there's the music, which means that we're close to the 20-minute mark in the podcast. So if you began your slow motion, high-intensity workout at the start of this podcast, you'd be finished by now for the entire week. So as Adam just said, you can have fun the remaining 10,060 minutes of your week. Great discussion today. And remember, if you'd like to ask the team a question or have a comment regarding the Power of 10, it's very simple. Just shoot us an email or record a voice memo on your phone and send it to podcast@informfitness.com. You can also leave us a voicemail by calling 888-983-5020, extension 3. That's 888-983-5020, extension 3. All feedback is welcome. Speaking of which, if you enjoyed the show, the best way to support it and ensure that we continue producing additional episodes is to subscribe to the podcast. And please rate the show and leave us some feedback and a review right here in iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, Acast, YouTube, or wherever you might be listening. To join us here at InForm Nation, give this workout a try for yourself. Just visit informfitness.com for phone numbers and locations nearest you, and please tell them you heard about the Power of 10 from the podcast. I'm Tim Edwards, reminding you to join us in the next episode, The Importance of Muscle. And we're not talking about just looking good at the beach, but all the physiological benefits that come from losing fat and building muscle. For Adam, Mike, and Sheila, thanks for joining us here at the InForm Fitness Podcast, 20 Minutes with Adam Zickerman and friends, here on the Inbound Podcasting Network.